We're living in an idiocracy. Yeah, I haven't seen this one yet. Let's have a little butchers.
Hi guys, it's me again.
It's classic. He puts on the poor quality cam. It's classic. He puts on the poor quality cam, the poor quality mic. Why? We know he's got better stuff, but why is he doing this to us? It's killing us.
Today we're going to talk about something that everybody has experienced, at least secondhand, and some people unknowingly have also experienced this firsthand as well.
The idiocracy.
And that is going to be the decline of critical thought. This is something that I've been observing over the past 15 or 20 years or so, and I think that it's definitely started gaining momentum recently. And I want to explain and kind of talk about
certain things, like pointing it out.
Why is that really happening?
Certain things in history. Certain things in history highlight it, and it reminds you, oh yeah, we're idiots. We're actually idiots. You know what I'm saying? Go, oh yeah, I forgot.
Popular topic in conversation in pop culture. There are things like idiocracy. There's the age-old question that people seem to be asking more often recently, which distilled down is something like, why are people so fucking retarded nowadays?
Silly.
And today, we're going to answer that question. And I actually think that there's a number of reasons for this that make a lot of sense. And
is that a World of Warcraft sweater? I mean, that looks like a World of Warcraft W. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying.
The first thing you have to understand is that you have to understand that people need an identity. And that identity used to be tied to a religion, which, by the way, required you to do the exact same thing that secular ideology requires you to do as well. But the religion was a little bit more creative about it. And let's be honest, the burning bush is a little bit more exciting than climate change, isn't it? But I can show you guys how there's definitely a correlation there. And so anyway, this begins as a kid. And I think that nowadays kids, I mean, I feel bad for a kid nowadays. They're growing up, they're 2 and 3 years old, they're getting addicted to Cocoa Melon, then they get older, they've got Mr. Beast selling them, chocolate when there's like, oh, well, this is supposed to be healthy and it's not. They get a little bit older, they start, they turn 8 years old, they can finally write their name, and then by the time they turn 10, they learn about galaxy gas, and then they forget their name again.
I'm finished.
And so
the eventual decline.
You think about it as a kid nowadays, and you're really getting spawn camped pretty hard. But anyway, here's another component to it that's very interesting. Critical thought, and I think thinking as a concept, and you can think about this with IQ tests. With IQ tests, this, as with any conversation of nature versus nurture, it's often, a lot of times, some from column A, some from column B. It's a little bit of both. You can actually train yourself to become better at IQ tests to an extent. And I think that also what's happened is that people have trained themselves to not critically think. And I think that what's happened is that if you have your brain...
It seems like also that like critically thinking is difficult for them. It's like a chore. They've got to do... It's a chore. Oh, it's such a drag. To critically think about things. They'd just rather be guided. They'd rather just simply consume and have to do nothing else but consume.
Thinking about things and you're trying to solve things out and reason them out, you train your brain. It's like a muscle, just like any other thing, and your body, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you use your brain, you're able to use your brain more, and if you don't use your brain, you're not able to use your brain quite as much. And I think this has happened a lot, where people are effectively mentally AFK, and I think that they go AFK quite early on now in life. Because back whenever we were kids, and by we, I mean all the other boomers that remember 3,000 years ago in 1990, and we were kids, and we would be told, you won't have a calculator in your pocket. By the way, Miss Williams, you're fucking wrong. Dumb bitch. I knew that she was dumb, and I was right. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that we all learned how to do addition. We all learned how to do multiplication. We learned how to divide
algebra.
Fractions.
The fuck was algebra, though?
And learning math is learning logic. And learning logic is learning how to critically think. And now that there are...
And by using these tools, ladies and gentlemen, it's shocking. But you can exist correctly in society. Simple as that.
so many tools, calculators, things that you can take a picture of it and it just automatically solves the equation on your math test. There are all of these tools that people have for them nowadays that effectively take different instances of critical thought that a person would have to do,
Yeah.
and now that critical thought
Yeah.
no longer has to
That's
occur.
right.
You no longer have to think about this yourself because the app does it for you. You have
Yeah, that's
computers
right.
now, and it's weird because you're having like this weird like historical bell curve where boomers, actual boomers, don't know how to use a computer, and then people that are around, I'd say like 40 to like maybe 25 or so, definitely probably know how to use a computer. And what we're seeing now, this is really scary, is young people are now again learning how not to use computers. This is, by the way, another thing
Yeah.
that Idiocracy predicted.
It's quite.
And
It's quite.
that there would be a bunch of
quite strange.
like, wow, these machines.
They know about the iPads and the iPhones and the swipe in and the shit like that, but a computer they don't know. It's fucking mad.
How do they work? Nobody knows. Well,
the fuck?
anyway,
Kids are looking at computers like, what the fuck's that?
nowadays, kids, because these computers are so well
What the
designed,
fuck?
they don't really break as often as Windows 98 used to or Windows
Yeah.
XP used to.
Fucking
And
hell.
you don't have to go into CMD
Vista.
to release and renew your IP address every single time you get a new router. It just does that for its own. It
Yeah.
does that on its own.
There's a lot upgraded in PCs, definitely, as time has gone. Technology, there's a lot of ease. Before, back in the day, AOL days, fucking hell, dial up. Oh my god, it was horrific.
for itself. And because of that, people never really
Setting up a fucking laptop back in the not a laptop. Setting up a printer was a nightmare. Like, oh my god.
learn how to use computers. They don't really understand how the computer works. And I think that the problem with that, and I actually, and here's what's really crazy about that, is that I bet people that are 30 years older than me, 40 years older than me, would be saying this exact same thing about us with cars. Because now,
Yeah,
every
yeah.
car, you don't have to open your hood to figure out the way that it
Yes,
works. All you have to
yes,
do is plug
yes. 100% correct, brother. It's spot on. It's spot on. He's so right. He's so right. It's true. The boomers and the older lawyers, like, how can they not know about cars? We don't have to know. But it's like now, how can they not know about computers? You know, it's so strange.
it into a little USB thing or a connector at AutoZone. It gives you an
Yeah.
error code, and then you take it to the mechanic, and the mechanic fixes it based off of the error code. Much better system.
Crazy.
However, people know a lot less about cars. And I think the same thing is happening with computers now, because computers are becoming much more defined, tighter, more enclosed systems that
Yeah.
don't require as much critical thought to reason out problems with them, because they're just better at solving the problems themselves.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, you just get a new computer. It's called planned obsolescence. Very cute. And so anyway, I think this is happening also with
Planned
math.
obsolescence
And every
is
other
clever.
form of critical
That's most of the products that they're making today is that with the design is so it eventually reaches a demise or becomes inadequate for future times. You know, that's how the design process is designed in the beginning. The conception, motherfucker, the prototype.
thought is being outsourced to some sort of machine, to some sort of AI, to some sort of thing that is external from yourself. So now the individual, the kid, doesn't have to actually think about how to solve what is multiplication,
Yeah.
what is a fraction, what is division.
You see, as I was a kid, I was thinking that would be a great future. I imagine that you just had machines or AI. I didn't know AI, but an AI sort of thing where you could just, or even the phone now. Like imagine, but you don't really think about the repercussions it has on the people, because you then become very stupid and very reliant on said technology. You know what I'm saying? Which could easily be taken away from you. And then what?
etc. Right? What is algebra? They don't have to understand the logical implications of algebra, because they
Yeah.
have a computer that will do that for them.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with
I still don't know why we learned algebra and why I was stressing my little self out over algebra. I never used algebra in my life. Maybe I have, but fucking, I don't know. Not in a practical sense. I don't know. Fucking algebra.
that is that once you abstract so many avenues of critical thought, you, at a certain point, abstract critical thought itself. And the worst part about this is that it doesn't end in school. I think this has happened all across the entire culture. And every single group of people, and this is going to ruffle a few feathers here, and that's why I'm doing it. But there are a lot of things that, in my opinion, if you evaluate these things critically, you can easily see how they don't really make a lot of sense and how there is a common conclusion that any normal, reasonable person would come to. I'll give you two examples, and we can maybe do two more examples. The first example is going to be the really easy one. This is the one that a lot of people can probably agree on.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the graphs or like the charts? This is for the America people here, that shows how many areas are red versus how many areas are blue, and
Yeah.
they show, oh, well, look how many more red areas for Republicans versus Democrats.
Yeah.
Why is it that, the races are so close? Well, it's because a mountain doesn't really have a lot of people living on it as much as the same way a city does, for example. And so it's basically people that are willfully misunderstanding data. But the problem here is that I think that we've had such a long time period of willful misunderstanding that people have stopped acting. And here's another one.
It's become such a stupidity. It's become such a stupidity. It's like, what? Why? For what reason you've gone so far down this stupid road that it's like almost there at a point where the point of no return.
Climate
It's like,
change.
why?
This is a really big one. Now, the big concept with climate change is not whether or not it's happening, it's whether people are causing it or not. Let's use a little bit of logic here. If you light a cigarette in a room, the room will smell like a cigarette.
Yeah.
If you light a bunch of cigarettes in a house, the house will smell like cigarettes. If you have a lot of pollution in the city will have a lot of pollution in it, and it will be unsafe to breathe in. There are a lot of places, I think there's a few places like that used to be like that in China, for example.
Yeah.
So in a
High,
theoretical
dense
world,
population.
it would be very logical that if you caused enough pollution, that you could negatively affect the earth in a bad way. This is
Logical.
somehow a
Yeah,
bridge
it's
too far
logical.
for many people, and many people are unwilling to even come to the conversation of thinking about whether this is happening or not.
Yeah, because you got them ignorant people that be like, well, how can a human? And it's not like I'm advocating for anything. Let me just play devil's advocate. But there'll be the people like, how can we affect the earth? There's no way we could affect the earth. They've got that, so they're not even willing to. They've made their mind up, And to an extent, I understand what they're saying too. But this is for the sake of conversation.
And I think the reason why is because
Yo, Trolley Bear, how you doing today? Hope you're having a good day.
that type of critical thought puts them at odds with the ideology that they subscribe to.
Yeah.
And this is something that, again,
That's why it is as
religion,
well.
we used to outsource this over to religion, but because people don't
Yeah.
believe in that as much
We used to outsource this out to religion. It's ridiculous. The guy's ridiculous.
anymore,
I love it.
now we've decided to invent our own new forms of bullshit that, as I said before,
Hmm.
are much less exciting than Jonah living in a fish, just to be honest. And so here's another one. Transgenders. Oh, this one's going to get people.
Ooh.
Obviously, a transgender,
That's a man.
male to female is going to have a biological advantage against a biological female. All
Yeah.
other things considered equal. Any reasonable person knows this, and you can easily see this too, that there are very few biological females to males that then go on to compete in sports.
I love how it's going on about this because it's cleverly how stupid and where we choose to put critical thinking in. It should be applied across the board. That's what I agree with, and that's what I say. Apply critical thinking across the board, but not only when it's favourable to your argument or to your situation or to your personal ideology. That's what I get. The gist is what he's saying, and it's true because that's what we tend to do as people. We tend to extend ourselves more in the discussion or debate or whatever if it's something you're passionate about. Whereas if it's not, you're not so passionate. Pushing the critical thinking out so much. You're willing to be blind in certain situations, so to speak. It's a normal human thing, but I see the increase, and he's right.
At a professional or very high level. I'm sure it's happened once or twice, but I don't think exceptions prove rules. So
Yeah.
the point is that all of these things are extrapolations of scientific reasoning and logical reasoning that, based off of which side of a different political spectrum you're on, you are not allowed to have these opinions. You are not allowed to think for
It's
yourself.
like denying
And I think
yourself
that's really
that,
what I'm
yeah.
getting at here.
Yeah, because as well with that sort of deadly style of thinking that loads of people do, is because they've decided. It's the same. It's true. He's right. We used to outsource that to religion. Religion used to be the base of that blind belief, where they just blindly believe. They won't even any discussion or anything brought to the table. They're not even willing to discuss it because they've already decided. It's becoming like that, but with normal people as well, in their political decisions, their sexual ideology, whatever the fuck it might be, their gender, whatever the hell it is. They're beginning to do the same sort of actions, like be blind.
Is that you are no longer allowed to think for yourself because
And also, also is the belief schools that they're believing into is almost like a cult as well, like a religion, like this system where that's it. This is what you think. You don't even question. And then other things you don't even question because you've already figured that out in your mind. That part is done. I've completed that part of life. I know about philosophy. Huh? You never know. You continuously learn.
thinking
That's the way of the wise one, is continuously learning. You're continuously a student. You never become the master. These lot are trying to be masters of things. Of what?
for yourself eventually takes you off of the off of the reservation or off of the range that you are supposed to be living in. You never want to think for yourself because you could accidentally make a mistake. You could think too far. You could commit a wrong thing. And when somebody does this,
that's what they tend to do.
Completely excommunicated. I think a great example of this is J.K.
I'm doing very well, my brother. I hope you're having a good day today. Brother, sister, father, human. Hope you're having a great day. I hope everything's groovy with you. Hope the weather's well. It's freezing cold here.
Rowling. J.K. Rowling said obviously the female experience is something that only biological females can experience in this.
See, and like just a simple sentence like he said now, like only a biological woman can experience what it's like to be a real biological woman. Yeah, just a simple sentence like that, which I think is fact. Which is fact. It is fucking fact. But there's people that would take that sentence and twist it in a crude and evil way and view that sentence as him saying, the men that identify as women, or the men that, I don't know, think that they're women, dress up as women, that their life is not human. They're not valid like every other person. See how they would twist that sort of sentence. That's not what anyone's saying. But they would twist that sentence into it being, so the men that identify as women, their lives don't matter. That you don't even see them as a human. That's how they would twist the conversation. And you would think, you're a pig.
Unique way. Now, it doesn't mean trans women can't be women. It doesn't mean they shouldn't be treated like women. But the experience that trans women have is different than the experience that a biological woman has.
Yeah.
This is a completely logical thing. I think that
I think that's fucking fact. It's fact.
Probably 90% of people think this, but people have to live with their mind in a cage and pretend like they don't. And what I think happens is that as soon as
it's like the denying of reality. That's almost cultish. That's almost blind. That's hypnosis. I don't know what the fuck that is. That is looking at reality and denying it. That's a denial of reality. That's what they're doing there, and they're willingly doing it, thinking that they're doing good. It's detrimental to the self. They will feel the damage of whatever it is that they're conjuring up for their self. God knows. But all one can do for a person like that is just hope the best for them. Hopefully one day they wake up and they go, oh yeah, fucking, I need to seek help. I've got mental issues, deep-seated mental issues. A lot of these people, I'm sorry to go on ranting, but I always speak about it, but these people, they've got deep-seated mental issues which they're hiding. They're burying more deep above other problems and more there's deep problems that once you fix them problems and them problems are sorted, you see them flourish like a motherfucking flower. But a lot of these people, they deny to look there, and they've put their whole identity on their sexual orientation or what their gender is or what their political belief is. That's what their whole existence is. That's why I'm seeing, and we're seeing, a lot of people on the left-hand side lose their mind. because they've put their whole identity with Kamala winning the election. Motherfucker, it's just 4 years. They don't give a shit about you. I'll keep talking about this shit, but yeah.
The person sees what happened to, let's say, J.K. Rowling, where she gets completely excommunicated by her group of people, right?
Yeah, because they're fucking losers anyway.
Etc.
Nah, man. What she said was 100% right, and the others, they can cry more. Go and cry over there, go on.
She got.
And they bring up some mad shit like, oh, so then you're the cause of these people killing themselves. You are actually crazy. Go and seek the help that you need, for real, because society is getting stunted because of you. And we're trying to, you want society to put up fucking pads for you to be safe. Nah, man, this is not how it is.
Totally excommunicated. Everybody hates her now. And she also, by the way, got way more radicalized to the other side. So it does have a negative effect too. But most importantly, the point that I'm making here is the fact that when you think for yourself, when you let your own experiences dictate the way that you see the world, you oftentimes come into a direct contradiction with the ideologies that you are part of. And people don't like to think. People don't like nuance. And I think this has always been true, right? I mean, we had Salem witch trials. They burned Joan of Arc. Galileo was suppressed. I mean, we've always done this. But what's interesting nowadays is that it's done for
it's the humans. It's what we do.
And
humans busy with it.
Interesting, circumstantial application of critical thinking when it's something that you've already agreed with the conclusion on. And I think that's what's really happened. And so you have people that are growing up.
I'm saying their mind is made up. Their mind is already made up. In their head, they've got it all figured out in that section of life. I figured that out. Huh? It's the way of the fool.
And
utter
they
fools.
ask questions. They, because a kid thinks like.
And with people like that, if you discover them and you come across them in the wild, just avoid. Straight up avoid. Don't even waste the energy. Do not waste even the energy. Save your breath. Run. Swear to God.
Is this way?
Not worth it.
Oh, wait a minute! You can't ask that. You can't ask.
They got energy
you
to waste.
Think about it like this because this is the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah.
And so now you're stepping outside of that box that you're supposed to stay in. And I think this also dovetails very well into the way that cults work. Now, a lot of cults, there is a turning point, right? Whether when you're going from, the under level to the upper level of the cult. And this is the point where you are now given the arcane, esoteric teachings of whatever madman decided to invent this cult. But
they give you an ultimate. They give you a special power that only you have and the other lackeys don't have. You got an ultimate. You build it up and then it's got a cool down time.
Before you do that, you have to do some form of initiation that oftentimes requires you to forego your own logic, forego your own thinking.
This is it. I swear, it's gone throughout human history, and it seems like people are like, oh, a cult? No, this has been happening, you bastards. This is a human activity.
Disregard reality and accept their version of reality as your reality. And the reason for that is it's a degree of commitment. How committed are you to this cause in order for
show me how committed you are. Okay, don't use your mind. Let me use your mind. Okay then. All right, there you go. Done. Huh?
You to fully be part of our in-group. And I think that now people are performing that initiation ritual at a mass level. They are basically performing the initiation ritual themselves for society to see, oh, wait a minute, this person is actually part of our team. And it becomes more important that you are following the line of thinking, the group of people that you think are, or that you're part of. It's more important that you follow their line of thinking than you follow your own line of thinking.
Yes, these are the vital parts of a cult and any grouping of humans that have nefarious beginnings.
And I think that that's what's really led to the decline of critical thought. And so you have machines nowadays that think for you. So you're not exercising that critical thought. You don't need to troubleshoot anymore.
So you don't use that muscle no more. So therefore, it shall decline in its appearance in your life, in your existence, because you do not use it.
Because the machine does that for you. And then you also have society that's actively trying to suppress every form of critical thought that you can possibly fucking have. Like, there are a lot of things that many people can always agree on, but because of political spin, it turns into being a controversial issue. I think things like lobbying or something like that, like gerrymandering, etc. But people contort themselves into doing gymnastics to justify them because these things are what is preferential or advantageous for their side. And I think that the more that you do that, the more that you practice not thinking for yourself. You practice not actually applying your own thought, not trying to evaluate things based off of your own experiences. And the worst of all is the fact that it's not that you're not thinking, it's that you're.
What you end up doing is you end up breeding like a group of a spawn, a society, a generation of people that are so rigid and fragile as well, and like utter snowflakes, to the point when you begin an argument or a dialogue, a debate, whatever, they do the classic stuff of scream at you or insult you, personal assaults, stuff like that, because they're unable to process that. They're unable to. Everyone's been living their life for them. They haven't actually took the reins before. They've never took the reins of their life before. They've always took the back seat of their own life. Someone else has always been driving their life. So when it comes to a moment when they have to take the wheel, they crumble and crash, and it becomes a fatality. You know, for them, obviously.
You're letting somebody else do the thinking.
It's devastating.
And I think that's what people want, by the way. I think that there is a primal human desire to take all of your existential problems and then give them to somebody else, and then they're going to tell you all the answers.
Mum, I hurt my leg, Mum. Oh, come here, darling, do you want me to kiss it better? That's all they want. Poor bastards. See, in the end of the day, that's all I feel when you ultimately think it through and get through this, they're very stupid, and you get through that layer, you go really deep into what they are. They're just a little baby. They're just little fucking babies that need hugs, honestly. That's what a lot of these people are, lost babies that need hugs.
You don't have to think about this shit anymore, because that's really complicated, and it's much easier just to watch football or play video games. So the fact is that's why I think that we're losing a lot of critical thought. We don't have to use our brains anymore, and the times that we do are usually a mistake. And I think this is going to keep getting worse, by the way. It's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse until it reaches a fever pitch where it's just a unrecognizable reality, and people have to turn around. But I think that, again, being able to...
It's becoming
like that. It's kind of like... I would say it's like virtue signaling, but it's like retard signaling in a way, where you're now you're going out and you're saying these things, and it's like, okay, this is the person who's saying that, I don't want to give like a big list because it's going to trigger a lot of people in chat, but, you're going into the NPC programming of certain people, and you're saying the thing that you're supposed to say. And then once you do that, now you're part of a club. Now you can be accepted because you have decided to forego your own reality, forego your own critical thinking, and instead adopt the critical thinking and the reality of the group. And I think that that's why we don't have people that think for themselves.
Yeah, and this sort of problem, ultimately, it stems even into the playground when you're a kid, when you're a child, up and coming, the hierarchy sort of thing. And the need, the desire, it's always a need to be accepted. So even you begin to dress differently, act differently just to be accepted. It begins from stuff like that. It's an acceptance thing.
They're afraid to
it's an acceptance thing. That's what it is.
Think for themselves, because if they do, and they think too hard, or they think too much in one direction, they could end up ruining their entire life. And you see this happen.
What's a doom and gloom mindset they must have an individual like that? Okay, now have dreams, you bastard. Have dreams, you bastard. What do these people dream of?
You see this happen
the next day or something. Fuck.
With someone like J.K. Rowling. Not like she's ruined her whole life, but it's just a person
she's
who
an
is
OG,
asking
I think.
a question, who is trying to express their worldview, and they're completely hated by everybody. And I think that there are
I don't
many
think so.
such cases. And I'm curious, guys in chat, has there ever been an opinion that you think is just absolute common fucking sense? And then if you mention this opinion or you say this opinion,
Yeah, well, there's loads.
everybody hates you for it. And I think that
Well,
the
there's
more
loads.
of those that we discuss and we talk about, the more that we can get back to actually thinking as a form of coming to a conclusion rather than as a form of reverse engineering a conclusion. So
That's right. That's right. That's a great way to fucking put it. And little applaud there on the end bit there, 'cause that's perfect.
it's like instead of making up your mind on what's true and then trying to logically justify it, you should look at logic and try to, inductively decide what is actually the truth. And
Yeah.
I would love to see things go back to that, but I think the first thing that you have to do is you have to acknowledge the things that are not that. And I think that we have so many of those nowadays in our society. And again, people are afraid to step outside of that box because you can ruin your life for doing so. And you see many such examples on social
You
media
ruin your whole life.
and on the news. And I think that kids, again, are just getting farmed because they never have to critically think because machines do everything for them. And I think that's exactly what's happening. And things are just going to keep getting worse until, number one, people can acknowledge it's a problem, and number two, it legitimately becomes a problem. And I think you're probably going to see that in workplace productivity.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening.
Maybe in the next 20 years or so. But
There's
by
a lot
then we'll have
of that's
everybody
happening.
replaced by robots, so maybe it won't even matter. Either
People
way,
will
guys,
fuck
that's
it.
what I think. So I'd be
The laziness and gluttony begins.
curious to hear what is your example of something that is so critically obvious, but people try desperately to deny that it isn't true.
Bloody hell.
And I've given some of my examples. Some people might disagree with them. That's totally okay. But, I think that many people have very similar examples. And I think that that is the real reason. And again, the lack of meaning and the lack of trying to identify with a group, or the lack of having a group to identify with, is the reason why people are willing to give up their critical thought and just immediately be part of that group instead, because it's a lot more convenient and it's a lot safer to do that. And so anyway, guys, I like making these videos.
Is right, though.
Let me know if you want to see more videos like this.
They're great.
I feel like these topics are sometimes a little bit heavier, so I try to be funny with them as much as I can. But overall, I really appreciate you guys watching them. A lot of people were really positive about the last one. So if people like them, I'll keep making them. And if they don't like them, well, if I still feel like it, I'll make them anyway. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Legend. Asmund the Bald King, the Lynch King himself, the Roach King. The Roach King himself. No, he's 100% right, though. What's this? No, I will not buy that. What's this? No, I will not buy that. Okay, now we're trying to sell you something. But yeah, he's 100% right. That was a brilliant video.